What I'm about to show you is the first ever photo of Three Eye Atlas that is unaltered, unfiltered, coming from people like you and me that are capturing it now with their own telescopes. It has been vetted as real. This may shock you, but we need to have a conversation about what actually is this thing. Just check it out. All right, we're going to break down exactly what's going on here. 800 generals were summoned for a meeting that was supposedly about becoming more fit. That's not why you summon 800 generals. They're talking about something else. At the same time, you conveniently have a government shutdown going on, and you have NASA coming out saying that the lack of carbon dioxide expulsion from Three Eye Atlas, doesn't make any sense as it approaches the sun. This is a comet that is passing through every major planet on every major religious holiday and has no tail. In fact, it has a light on the front of it. Then you have Congress coming out and pretty much proving that UAPs are real. You have silver at $50, which is unprecedented. All at the same time, troops are being deployed to major cities all over the country. What is going on?
We have a big update here. It's October 1st, new day of the month, and people are wondering what to make of the news right now. Everyone is very worried about President Trump's well-being and what's going on with him. I mean, after his speech the other day, it went on, for many people's opinions, for far too long and did not seem coherent. He's talking about bringing back battleships and nuclear deals and making people sign treaties, but it did not seem concise. And for a president that ran on being the anti-war president, there was a whole lot of discussions of war. So that has people shook up. We're still awaiting news on this update with Atlas 3I. Apparently there is like hundreds of these cluster objects surrounding this asteroid Atlas 3I. And NASA is concerned, Harvard scientists are concerned, saying, where do these objects come from and what are they trying to do? Is it a safety threat to Earth? We're going to find out. So this is unbelievable. We just got more information about the situation going on in Quantico. You already know the big news last week. I've been predicting it for a long time now. Something big is coming. Everyone knows that the generals and the admirals are being called on an emergency meeting to gather in Quantico for some big update. A friend of mine that we're going to meet with right now that works on the base in Quantico is telling me that security is starting to get crazy there. Like they're preparing for, of course, all the leadership, but what they're being told is to be on alert. So with everything going on with the news in space, I just saw another video that was sent to me the other day. I reached out to the guy talking about Asteroid Atlas 3I. They have radar footage and radio waves that are coming from a huge vessel of some sort. And they're trying to piece together exactly what it's trying to communicate. They're not sure if it's just noise coming from the vessel or if it's some encoded message. But it is consistent and persistent. This is huge. Be ready for big updates next week. This is really getting unbelievable, all the stuff that keeps happening. We are one day away for one of the largest military meetings of the past 30 years. Okay? We're talking about all the admirals, all the generals from the U.S. military, people flying in from overseas to come meet with Pete Hegseth in Quantico Marine Base in Virginia. Now, plans keep getting shifty. Now, apparently, before Pete Hegseth was just going to meet with these military leadership, now Donald Trump is going to be sitting in on this meeting and probably giving words. Now, they're saying it may be a short meeting. I don't buy it. You do not have that many people fly from across the country to meet for 30 minutes. Something big is coming. We have a lot of mass casualty events going on around the country. We have a lot of tension around the world, especially with China, Russia, and Israel. Not to mention the updates we keep getting from our skies with the asteroid.
Three Eye Atlas update. 800 generals are meeting for the first time in the United States history during the beginning of October, when this comet is supposed to make the closest approach to the Earth yet, outside of when it comes back around the sun and comes back to the Earth on Christmas. Okay? NASA tried to say that it had a tail. It had to redact that statement because so many amateur astronomers, including a Harvard physicist, said that was BS. Guys, this really could be extraterrestrial, considering we're putting troops in all the major cities, and now 800 generals are being summoned in one location. I think that meeting is about Three Eye Atlas, and you can see Three Eye Atlas going through the media right now. What do you think? We are on the verge of World War III. I think they are all connected, and I think I'm going to be able to spot this the entire time and call it as I see it. And troops have been and are being deployed in most every city across the United States. All right, let's talk about what's going on. Troops have been deployed to Memphis, Chicago, New York City, D.C., Columbus, and a lot of other major cities. They're now announcing that Three Eye Atlas is actually an alien mothership, given the fact that it doesn't have a tail. There are UAP spottings all over the globe. Russia just attacked Poland with drones, and we are on the verge of World War III. I think they are all connected, and I think I'm going to be able to spot this the entire time and call it as I see it. Even investigative journalists are being banned and shadow banned. Type in the comment, what do you think? Since July, with Three Eye Atlas, we've been looking for NGAs, non-gravitational accelerations, or decelerations. Since discovering this in July, we have not seen a single deviation of its course or of its speed. This has never happened with any comet ever in the history of space exploration. In fact, there are 164 anomalies to this comet. I am 99% sure that this is some sort of craft or is being controlled by some sort of intelligence, and now papers are coming out saying that it is intelligent. Look at Google. Have a nice night, guys. Look up. Wait a minute, what happened? I thought the rapture was supposed to happen yesterday. Guys, Three Eye Atlas is coming inbound. It has 164 anomalies. It does not have a comet tail. It has a light in front of it. Another one called Swan, 100 times bigger than Three Eye Atlas, has appeared from behind the sun. If you look up in the sky at night, you will see some wild stuff. They are getting ready to disclose something, and troops have been and are being deployed in most every city across the United States. All right, let's talk about what's going on. Troops have been deployed to Memphis, Chicago, New York City, D.C., Columbus, and a lot of other major cities. They're now announcing that Three Eye Atlas is actually an alien mothership, given the fact that it doesn't have a tail. There are UAP spottings all over the globe. Russia just attacked Poland with drones, and we are on the verge of World War III. I think they are all connected, and I think I'm going to be able to spot this the entire time and call it as I see it. Even investigative journalists are being banned and shadow banned. All right, don't get mad at me when I say this. I'm sure everybody here has heard somewhere in the Christian community that the rapture is happening in September. That information actually came from a known sorcerer who practiced witchcraft, who did believe that the rapture is happening at the end of September. At the same time, there is a comet that they are 50% sure is an extraterrestrial spacecraft approaching the Earth. They have lied to you. Read your Bible. Everything that Jesus said was going to happen happened in the generation he said it was going to happen in. And the 7 churches of Asia is who Revelation was written. Okay, because of new guidelines going in, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this. Basically, 3i Atlas is now approaching Earth, and they found a new comet called Swan that is 25 times bigger than 3i Atlas. 3i Atlas has a front headlight with no tail. It emits carbon dioxide, and it just so happens in the last 48 hours they found 7 new dark comets that are coming from behind the sun. Now, here on Earth, we have World War III starting off. Iran just shot missiles at U.S. bases, and they're deploying troops throughout the entire United States. Look, we are being prepped for a huge event, and Avi Loeb are saying has a good chance of being extraterrestrial. All at the same time where troops are being deployed throughout every major city, World War III is starting, the economy is collapsing, we are getting ready to most likely be revealed of alien existence through the congressional hearings that are happening right now. What do you think? This is a red alert, and you can feel it. Why are troops being deployed throughout every major city in the United States? Why is there a comet coming to us that doesn't have a tail, that has a headlight, which scientists and NASA are now saying is an alien spacecraft? What are they preparing for? Why are alternative news personalities getting banned for talking about 3i Atlas approaching Earth? Something is happening. You can feel it. Do not ignore what you feel in your gut. Alright, look, there's something that they're not telling us about this 3i Atlas, okay? They blocked it out for 30 days. They're 30 days ahead of what the information we are receiving is. Okay? They said it had a front headlight and that it's emitting more carbon dioxide than any comet ever. Alright? And now they say it's aggressively headed towards Earth. Keep your peace during this time and trust what the Bible says. There's a very strong possibility that we are going to get an alien reveal by September 25th or into November. It's a strong possibility, people. Major update. 3i Atlas has now changed course, changed its trajectory. NASA has moved all of its arrays to watch 3i Atlas. At the same time, 7 dark comets have appeared from behind the sun. These are comets without tails and show light at the front of them. And Harvard physicists, NASA, and a slew of amateur astronomers are now saying that 3i Atlas is extraterrestrial. This is enormous news. All right, let's talk about what's going on. Troops have been deployed to Memphis, Chicago, New York City, DC, Columbus, and a lot of other major cities. They're now announcing that 3i Atlas is actually an alien mothership, given the fact that it doesn't have a tail. There are UAP spottings all over the globe. Russia just attacked Poland with drones, and we are on the verge of World War III. I think they are all connected, and I think I'm going to be able to spot this the entire time and call it as I see it. Even investigative journalists are being banned and shadow banned. Type in the comment, what do you think? Alright, this is breaking news as of 5 minutes ago. Scientists, NASA, and the James Webb Telescope just discovered a new object coming out of nowhere from behind the sun. They're calling it Comet Swan. They haven't reported it as actually a comet. Okay, because of new guidelines going in, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do this. Basically, 3i Atlas is now approaching Earth, and they found a new comet called Swan that is 25 times bigger than 3i Atlas. 3i Atlas has a front headlight with no tail. It emits carbon dioxide, and it just so happens in the last 48 hours they found 7 new dark comets that are coming from behind the sun. Now, here on Earth, we have World War III starting off. Iran just shot missiles at U.S. bases, and they're deploying troops throughout the entire United States. Look, we are being prepped for a huge event. They're saying September 23rd is the date I'm hearing. I don't know. All I know is that we got to get the right information. Comment below.
Are we about to be told that we're going to be invaded by aliens? Because I sort of feel like that's where things are headed. So there was a UAP congressional hearing yesterday, and they released new footage and new evidence. Now, this isn't the first hearing they've had. This has been going on for a while, but it hasn't been taken seriously. It hasn't caught on to mainstream narratives yet, but I think it's about to. And I think that they're gearing up for that with Three Eye Atlas. The whole Three Eye Atlas story was very fringe when it first came out, and now we're starting to hear it more in mainstream circles. It was discovered July 1st, but it didn't start picking up steam with the general public until well into August. And I feel like this narrative is just getting kind of pushed further and further, and they want to see how far it goes. Now, I don't know if it's true or not. It could be PBB, it could be true, it could be interdimensional beings, it could be a holy war, who knows what it is, right? But I feel like we're approaching the point where the country of the United States is going to be told that such things exist and they're coming, or they're already here. And inevitably, when enough people believe the message, it's going to cause panic. And with that panic can cause all sorts of responses. But naturally, people who are more inclined to be violent or start riots will probably lean into that. And so I think that the government knows this and they're anticipating that. And so they're setting up shop to prepare for that. And perhaps maybe that's even what these data centers are. Because guys, these data centers are huge and they don't look they look like concentration camps. So if Three Eye Atlas is supposed to arrive sometime next month to Mars and then be closest to us, I think, in December, we're looking at a window sometime in 2025 where this narrative is going to continue to be pushed if this is what's happening. And this could very well be the nudge needed to push us into a UBI system or a cryptocurrency system or a one world order or any of those things. I mean, we're seeing unsettled societies across the globe. And I feel that that further illustrates the possibility that this is coming.
Atlas has turned from red to green, and you may ask why. So observations from the VLT have shown that 3i Atlas gets closer to the sun, cyanide gas production increases steeply. Cyanogen, CN, is a molecule that's fluorescent, right? Which is why it's changing colour. Also, it's building an even bigger cometary tail right now. So the gases emitted from this is still reaching up to half the size of the sun. It's pluming out massively. Now, it's travelling through the asteroid belt, which is kind of alarming. And you may ask why. When we send a probe through the asteroid belt, we've got about a 1 in a billion chance for it to actually hit something, right? But 3i Atlas is up to 50 kilometers long, big, however big it is. It's massive, which is kind of way bigger than our probe. So the increased chance that it will hit something is significantly higher. Now, if it does come in contact with something, it can redirect its course. As it comes through our solar system, it's basically in line with the elliptical plane. It's almost perfect. So if it hits an asteroid, this trajectory can change, right? Whether it will go down, up, it might redirect further into the solar system itself or out, which is very, very worrying, to say the least. So who knows what's going to happen, man?
Oh, what was that? Everyone was asking for a video. Okay, so they put out a video. Someone has a video. This guy was fishing near Langley Air Force Base, and he got a video of the quote-unquote mothership, which TikTok is getting angry with me, so this is for entertainment purposes only. But I want you to check out this video because it is freaking awesome. It's freaking awesome. And he goes on, he's sitting in his boat. You can hear him sitting in his boat. And it looks interesting. Let's just watch the video.
This was taken in Virginia, specifically right next to Langley Air Force Base. Now, why is that important? Because apparently, recently, there have been swarms of drones or UFOs flying around and over this Air Force Base, protected airspace, right? And that we don't know how to stop it, and we don't know what it is. And this is a perfect example, this video.
If you're keeping up with the 3i Atlas progression through our solar system, you should probably go check out Interstellar Discussions, because he just realized that NASA decided to stop updating its live website. So with it at its closest to the moon, now that we can get a good look at it, they've actually shut down their website. They're no longer updating it. And we still don't have any images, by the way, in case you're wondering. We have no updated images of it as it's coming up to Mars. So You know, we've got the James Webb telescope, we've got all of these satellites that are out there, and no images, no updated images, which is pretty freaking suspicious, if you ask me. I mean, they were pretty excited about this. They were. It's this new interstellar object that's coming in. We're going to learn so many things, and yet nothing. I think it's time we start asking. So 3i Atlas is continuing to get weirder. With the latest updates, it is in our solar system now, which I thought was weird because they said that it was going to come much later, but they also have put out there pretty much that it's not reacting to any kind of gravitational pull. So it's accelerating on its own accord through its own propulsion. I don't know how you want me to say that, but it's doing its own thing there. And then what I found interesting was when this was being announced about a month ago, Avi Loeb said that there was going to be an indicator of whether it was technological in nature or whether it was natural, and that was going to be by its behavior when it's out of our visual field behind the sun. And they showed the trajectory as going straight through our solar system, not reacting. Remember, they're saying it's not reacting to any gravitational pull. And now they're saying that, like it's nothing, that it's going to course correct, or it's going to change.
Here comes another big ship coming in. Look at this thing. Look at this. Look at the structure all the way out here. See it? Totally different structure shape. That is a massive, massive ship right there coming in. Wow. Look at that one. This is why they took the site down, because they're all coming in now en masse. I told you would start seeing more of them. This has to be why they took the site down. That is awesome. That is totally cool. And guess what? Looks like a totally different shape than the last one. That's why it's not a ham radio signature. These are actual ships, people. Wake up.
Something strange might be happening with Comet 3I/ATLAS. Reports suggest NASA instruments could have detected sudden, repeat events from this interstellar visitor. If these observations are real, they could show multi-wavelength activity spikes across different types of radiation. What if these aren't random flares? What if there's a pattern here that could reveal something profound about how interstellar comets behave when they encounter our sun's influence? We're going to explore what scientists call a burst fingerprint, examining how such events might appear across infrared, ultraviolet, X-ray, and radio wavelengths. Different instruments would see different things, and that combination could tell us exactly what's causing these potential outbursts. Could solar weather be triggering these events? When our sun hurls charged particles and magnetic fields into space, what happens when they slam into a comet that's been drifting in the cold of interstellar space for billions of years? We'll test whether any repeating pattern might match a rotating lighthouse model. Imagine jets of gas and dust sweeping past us as the comet spins, creating regular pulses of activity. Everything we discuss stays grounded in real physics. No wild claims, no science fiction. Just the genuine mystery of what happens when an ancient wanderer from another star system gets heated by our sun for possibly the first time in eons. If there's truly a fingerprint in the data, it points to a physical cause we can understand and test. The question is, what story will that fingerprint tell us? If these reported bursts are real, they wouldn't just show up as simple brightness changes. True cometary outbursts create signatures across the entire electromagnetic spectrum. And that's where things get interesting. Think of it like a cosmic crime scene. Each wavelength of light tells a different part of the story. In infrared, we'd expect to see carbon dioxide absorption lines suddenly brighten. When trapped CO2, ice vents rapidly from deep within the comet. It absorbs specific infrared wavelengths. The James Webb Space Telescope would be perfect for catching this. It's designed to spot exactly these kinds of molecular signatures. Switch to optical light, and you'd see cyanogen emission lines spike upward. When fresh molecules get blasted out of the nucleus and hit sunlight, they break apart and glow with that characteristic green color we sometimes see in comet tails. Ground-based telescopes like Gemini or the Very Large Telescope could track these changes in real time. Ultraviolet tells another story. Solar UV radiation drives intense photochemistry during outbursts, breaking apart water and organic molecules. The Hubble Space Telescope's UV capabilities would reveal this molecular destruction happening live. Here's where it gets really intriguing. X-rays. When solar wind particles slam into neutral gas from a comet, they swap electrons in a process called charge exchange. This creates X-ray emission that space-based observatories like SWIFT can detect. Charge exchange X-rays happen when solar wind ions grab electrons from cometary gas, releasing energy as X-rays. Finally, radio telescopes might catch the 18-centimeter OH line getting stronger. This is the radio signature of hydroxyl molecules, essentially broken water. When sunlight splits apart water vapor, it creates OH radicals that emit at this specific radio frequency. The OH 18-centimeter line serves as a radio signpost, showing us where water is being destroyed. A coherent fingerprint across all these bands wouldn't be random. It would point to a real physical mechanism driving the outburst. Different processes create different patterns, so the combination acts like a diagnostic tool. Here's the big idea. If bursts are happening, they leave footprints across the electromagnetic spectrum. When infrared, optical, X-ray, and radio signatures jump together in a coordinated way, that's not coincidence. That's the comet breathing, releasing stored energy in a way we can measure and understand. We can test this hypothesis like detectives, checking each wavelength band by band, spectral line by line. The beauty is that different instruments would see different pieces of the puzzle, and together they'd tell us exactly what's happening inside this ancient visitor from another star. If the fingerprint timing matches up with solar activity patterns, we'd have our smoking gun for what's triggering these potential events. Solar weather as the hidden switch, A210 to 300. What if the key to understanding these potential bursts isn't the comet itself, but what's happening with our sun? Scientists could cross-reference any burst timings with data from the ACE and DSCO VR spacecraft, which monitor solar wind conditions in real time. These satellites sit between Earth and the sun.
July 1st, 2025. An ordinary sweep of the sky, until Atlas telescopes spot a celestial visitor racing in from the heart of the galaxy. 3I/Atlas, only the third confirmed interstellar object ever detected. Within weeks, NASA releases the clearest image yet, capturing this rare traveler as it brushes perilously close to the sun. For the first time, astronomers have a detailed glimpse into what might be material forged around another star. But as excitement grows, so do the questions. What secrets does this single, sharpest frame reveal? And what might it mean if something truly alien is hidden in its light? The answers begin here. Atlas, the asteroid terrestrial impact last alert system, flagged something odd on July 1st, 2025. A new object, faint but unmistakable, was moving across the sky at a speed and angle that did not fit any known solar system body. Automated alerts pinged observatories around the world. Within hours, astronomers began tracking its position, logging each new data point and running orbital calculations. The numbers told a clear story. This was no ordinary comet. Its path was hyperbolic, meaning it was not circling the sun, but instead slicing through the solar system on a one-way journey. That single fact set it apart from the billions of asteroids and comets bound by the sun's gravity. The object's incoming trajectory pointed back toward the dense star fields of Sagittarius, a region crowded with the Milky Way's central stars. Early measurements confirmed what the orbital models suggested. 3I/Atlas was moving too fast to ever return. It was only the third interstellar visitor ever confirmed, following Oumuamua in 2017 and Borisov in 2019. Each new observation tightened the calculations, locking in the hyperbolic excess velocity, evidence that 3Y/Atlas was forged far from our solar system, possibly in another stellar nursery millions or even billions of years ago. As the news spread, telescopes scrambled to capture every possible detail before the object slipped past the sun and vanished into deep space. The urgency was real. A hyperbolic orbit means a brief window, just months, sometimes only weeks, to study material from another star system. The Atlas team's detection, combined with rapid global follow-up, made it possible to confirm the interstellar origin beyond doubt. With that certainty, the focus shifted. Every astronomer wanted the sharpest possible image, especially as 3I/Atlas approached the Sun, where glare and solar interference threatened to erase the details forever. The stage was set for a race against time and physics, with the promise of a once-in-a-generation look at a true galactic wanderer. Within minutes of the Atlas alert, a wave of energy swept through the global astronomy community.
What the fuck, guys? This guy literally warned us all about a potential lie and the Atlas III comet being an alien threat back in January. Listen to this.
So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe. It's nuanced, how they explain that, the nature of that threat. But that 100% is the lie you are going to be told. You even got a date. People have been whispering a date for a long time now. I know where that lie comes from. I know specifically what document from the 70s initiated the idea of that lie. A classified document. That is the lie you will be told.
I have to say, that is very interesting. I remember watching it back in January when that clip was actually uploaded. So, it sounds like he was privy to a lot of interesting information, and I think a lot of us have known that this potentiality was on the cards for some time. This might well be completely a play, guys, that they're playing us with. Massive distraction, keep us looking up, not paying attention to what's going on right here in Earth. What the fuck, guys? The Rubin telescope has discovered thousands of objects coming out of deep space along the same trajectory and going alongside 3I Atlas. Listen to this.
The data poured in, a cascade of new bodies bleeding out of the darkness around 3I Atlas, as if some hidden factory had opened. The first night, Rubin logged 989 objects emerging from the 3I Atlas region. By the second night, the count had already surged to 1,355. On the sixth night, it was 1,796. By the seventh, 2,104. 3 days later, the tally ripped past 4,000. The multiplication was continuing, all headed toward Earth. The swarm didn't burst into being, it grew in real time, with new objects appearing in the scans every few hours like fresh production runs from a factory. But why Rubin telescope can detect these objects, not other telescopes on Earth? Because no other telescope on Earth is built like Rubin. Its enormous 8.4 meter mirror and the largest, most powerful astronomical camera ever built, a 3.2 gigapixel eye, sweep across the heavens every night, capturing oceans of starlight at once, instead of staring at a single patch. That is why it could show what no one else could, thousands of bodies spilling out of deep space in perfect formation. And what made it so terrifying was the uniformity. Spectral reports showed every object shared the same speed, the same trajectory, the same strange green-tinted tail as 3I Atlas. Ave Loeb confirmed nickel, cobalt, and high-temperature alloys, the kind of metals forged under industrial conditions, all had the same unusual carbon monoxide-driven glow. Until that moment, every amateur and professional astronomer had seen only one object. Now, there were thousands. Infrared spectroscopy made it worse. Each of these bodies was about 1/10 the size of 3I Atlas, yet apparently powered by a core twice as powerful. 3I Atlas had already puzzled scientists with an estimated 10 gigawatt power source inferred from its core, but the new companions appeared to radiate 20 gigawatts each. Even our most advanced reactors cannot match that power to mass ratio. Our biggest power plants weigh thousands of tons to produce only a few gigawatts. These objects are no larger than a city block, yet each one radiates enough power to light entire nations while hurtling through space.
What the fuck is going on, guys? Seriously. We are literally in for it by the looks of it. We've got an armada and thousands of objects heading our way. Holy fuck.
Can you please provide some clarity on what you think 3i Atlas is or what you're hearing?
As far as it being anything under intelligent control, I haven't seen any data to suggest that. Now, remember, any interplanetary civilization is not going to be drifting along at that speed. It isn't going to happen. They're going to be moving in hyperspace. They're going to be going like teleportation, be going from point A to B like this, right? Quantum entanglement, but on a macro scale with a whole spacecraft. I'm going to describe for Gaia when I'm there, how these technologies work and how they're related to quantum entanglement, but also the conscious field and consciousness. There's a whole nexus where all this comes together. And, the term I use is transdimensional interstellar, because they're interstellar, but they're transiting different dimensions. And we're going to do a deep unpacking of that for everyone at Gaia, in November. So, of course, the internet, the hysteria, and Avi Loeb jump immediately to some of the more sensational ones, although he's backtracked on that, saying that he was saying theoretically it could be this, which is a sort of a psyop. So my understanding of the cell that Avi Loeb is part of, the UFO connected cell group that he's connected to is a very prominent disinformation, gaslighting operation. So I'm pretty sure that anything from those quarters I would look at very skeptically, particularly when it begins to track towards a threat from outer space. Remember, this is what Werner von Braun on his deathbed told my dear friend Carol Rosen, who was his right-hand assistant in 1974, that over a period of decades, they would roll out this alien threat to sort of unite the world around sort of a totalitarian, militaristic dystopia that would be looking at anything from space as a threat that we should fight, which would then build military and intelligence spending. And that whole scheme was concocted in about 1953-54.
So the government shut down, NASA shut down, 3i Atlas is on approach, and nobody's telling the truth. Remember the recent rapture? Yeah, they say it's been rescheduled, like heaven runs on a calendar. And while everyone's laughing at the memes, aliens are crawling out of the oceans and stepping through glowing portals in the sky. Picture it. Cities plunged into chaos, sirens wailing, fighter jets scrambling into the night, only to be torn apart midair by something older, smarter, and hungrier. These aren't little green men. These are predators, beings that watch us grow, fattened us up on technology, on lies, on distractions, just to harvest us when the time came. And the time is now. You'll see it soon enough. Creatures dragging people into the dark while neighbors barricade their doors, praying to gods who've long gone silent. Streetlights flickering, the air tastes like metal, and the sound, swarms of them screaming through the sky as the earth splits open beneath our feet. This isn't science fiction anymore. It's judgment. It's invasion. It's extinction, dressed up as prophecy. And if you're still clinging to hope, I'll tell you what the news won't tell you. Humanity's countdown has already started, and there's no second date for survival. If you enjoyed that, give a follow, hit the like button, whatever.
Of its size.
Thanks for having me. Well, we know that the object is losing mass because we see a cloud of gas around it that is a result of its warming up as it gets close to the sun, but it doesn't change its path. There is no push that is visible on the trajectory of the object, and that means that it's very massive, at least 1,000 times more massive than the previous one, which was a comet, Borisov, discovered in 2019. Not only that it's so massive, much more than the previous one, but there is also not enough rocky material in interstellar space to deliver such a giant rock into the inner solar system over the past decade.
Well, explain that, Avi. So what do you mean there's not enough rock? What do you mean? Does this mean this is even further reason for you to think this isn't a natural object?
Well, yes, because there is limited reservoir of rocky material per unit volume in interstellar space, and even if you package all of it in objects of this size or bigger, then there is just not enough number of objects to deliver them at random once per decade to the inner solar system. So that's another issue, and the trajectory of this object is aligned with the planets around the sun, the plane of the planets, and on the one hand, that's extremely rare, 1 in 500 chance, but on the other hand, it offers us an opportunity to observe it. And indeed, by the end of this week, it will come within 29 million kilometers from Mars, and there are several orbiters there that were deposited there by NASA, by the European Space Agency, by the Chinese Space Agency, and we will get much more information about it. In particular, we can get an image with a 30-kilometer pixel size. So we can then look at the brightest pixel and infer how big is the object.
So if you think the chances are getting slimmer and slimmer that it's a man-made object, meteor, what is it?
Well, there are some other anomalies. During July and August, there was some glow in front of the object towards the sun, 10 times longer than it is wide. We don't see that often in comets. Usually the glow is behind, trailing the object away from the sun.
What does that tell you then?
Well, we don't know. You see, that is work in progress, and we just need more data. My point is simple. Any intelligence agency knows that they need to make a contingency plan for black swan events that are rare, unlikely, but could make a huge difference. We should do the same for interstellar objects. Just be aware of the possibility that it could represent alien tech.
Okay, anytime I hear black swan event and alien tech and interstellar objects, you're giving me, it's nightmare fuel. Avi Loeb, I'm sure we'll have you back. Thank you so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you for watching. Subscribe below and download our News Nation app right now on your phone, and you will get fact-based, unbiased news for all Americans.
So the truth is slowly coming out. The United States Representative Anna Paulina Luna says she's seen evidence that there are interdimensional beings. Let me simplify that for you. She said that she's seen evidence that there are aliens, interdimensional beings, living and breathing. Oh, you don't believe me, right? Look at this shit. Listen closely.
I can also tell you, and this might sound crazy, but based on our investigations and stuff that we've seen, okay, there is definitely something that I think would rival what we know currently with physics, and a tech that potentially is out there that we don't have the ability to reproduce.
You heard that?
Because it would basically be like dropping a cell phone right off back during the time of maybe cavemans. So we just don't have the tech to develop it yet.
She just said that there is a tech out there that we don't have the ability to produce. And just like most people will say when they're given information about these beings, they'll say that they're way more advanced than this. And you heard what she just said. Listen to the rest. Listen to this.
Understanding of physics. What specifically are you saying?
Listen.
What happened?
To I guess break it down in simple terms is that I think that some of the tech that exists, that whatever these things have, these energy things have.
What do you mean things?
Yeah. Well, they call them interdimensional beings.
You hear that?
I think that they can actually operate through the time spaces that we currently have.
You hear that?
And that's not something that I came up with on my own. That's based on stuff that we've seen. That's based on information that we've been told. And then also, too, I think that there's this historical aspect of, this gets into the deeper theories and concepts of religion.
Now, I want you to tell me what she was trying to say there. In but so many words, she was saying that those things, interdimensional beings, are actually here. We just can't see them. And that's a rabbit hole that we need to jump down. Because if they're here and we can't see them, why can't we see them? But then you remember that they say that humans can only see 4% of what's in front of them. So if that's the case, what's in front of you? What's really here? Shit is crazy. And it get deep. You're not going to be able to lie much longer. The truth is coming out. Pay attention.
October 3rd, 2025. While NASA's Perseverance rover quietly captures a 20-frame stack of the Martian sky, the only sign of 3I/Atlas, a verified interstellar visitor, is a faint, ambiguous smudge right where it should be. Yet just as the world demands answers and high-resolution orbiter images, nearly 15,000 NASA scientists are suddenly furloughed, and all official feeds fall silent. It's the perfect storm. Unprecedented anomalies, wild theories about a cylindrical object, and a blackout at the very moment latest images reveal something weird about 3I/Atlas. But what is being hidden, and why does every new claim seem to clash with what we thought we knew about interstellar objects? The story starts with a single blurry thread, but unravels into something nobody expected. Within hours of the Perseverance stack surfacing online, a single frame, barely more than a faint blur, became the spark for a digital wildfire. Citizen astronomers pored over raw data, overlaying the predicted ephemeris of 3I/Atlas against the Martian sky. The alignment was uncanny. The smudge fell exactly where CNEOS teams said it should. Yet the image's ambiguity proved irresistible. On X, users drew thick red ovals around the elongated feature, labeling it a cylinder or cigar, and urging others to enhance the pixels. Within a day, the meme had mutated. Now, the object was a Martian monolith, a spacecraft, or a cosmic thumb drive. The original stack, a 20-frame composite, was dissected and reposted with every conceivable filter. Some threads claimed to spot surface markings, others insisted on a metallic sheen, and a few went so far as to trace supposed shadows, building a case for artificial geometry. Amateur sleuths began comparing the Perseverance data to older comet images, arguing that no known comet ever looked so perfectly straight. Each new repost added another layer of speculation, and soon, the cylinder narrative drowned out technical explanations about cosmic ray hits or image noise. Astrometric overlays circulated in Discord science servers, with some users carefully matching the faint streak's angle to the predicted motion of 3I/Atlas. The match was close enough to satisfy some, but for others, the lack of high-resolution orbiter images became the real mystery. Why, they asked, did the only available evidence come from a surface rover when Mars hosts a fleet of orbiters equipped with powerful cameras? As the meme gained traction, it drew in a wider network, space enthusiasts, skeptics, and conspiracy theorists alike. The absence of official imagery only fueled the fire. Each unanswered question was met with another viral post, and the boundaries between genuine inquiry and online spectacle blurred. In the vacuum left by silence, speculation flourished, and the demand for answers grew louder with every retweet. In August, before 3I/Atlas became a trending topic, Birdie Dworsky and her remote viewing team sat down with a sealed envelope and a set of coordinates. The session logs, time-stamped and posted days before the Perseverance images, describe something oddly specific. A device, thumb drive-sized, embedded in a much larger, icy mass. According to the transcripts, this object was not inert. It pulsed, sending out regular, directed bursts. The motif of a technological core hidden within a comet-like shell recurred across multiple blind sessions, each conducted without knowledge of the target's identity. What stands out isn't just the device's scale or the pulse motif, but the language used. Viewers described masking, as if the object's true nature was deliberately concealed, and referenced surface graffiti or inscriptions, details that would later echo in online debates about artificial geometry and markings in the Perseverance stack.
If at any moment you see Comet 3I Atlas approaching planet Earth, follow these steps carefully. First, do not panic. Try to remain calm. What comes next could be a highly advanced species that neither you nor me could understand. Perhaps they come in peace, seeking to explore our world. Or perhaps not. In that case, simply watch as the end approaches our existence. For the last time, embrace your loved ones, for it may be the last time you ever see them. Comet 3I Atlas is only the beginning of something much greater. Time and reality will no longer be the same. The rules we once understood no longer apply. The universe begins to crumble before our eyes. What we have known as reality is shattering. There is no turning back. What comes is inevitable, and our only option is to accept it. Do not scream. Do not cry. Do not try to do anything. Simply accept your fate. This is the end of what we once knew. What comes is not something we can stop. Look to the sky one last time, and watch as everything disintegrates around you.